When I'm standing on the Olympic podium.
Yeah, 1984, you're standing there. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking about my mom.
Yeah.
I went through cancer in 97,
right.
and I got through, chemotherapy and a major surgery and got back on the ice right away. And then 7 years later, now I'm married. I've got a child, and life's different, right? And I'm symptomatic again. It's like, oh, come on. I said, I don't want cancer down there because I have an 80% female audience, and I don't want to have to talk about the boys to a female audience.
Listen, as long as you do a backflip, we good.
Yeah, we good, right? So I go, and they go, no. This is what they said. This is exactly what they said.
Easy.
They said, no, this is a good one. The human spirit. I mean, we're in a room that celebrates that human spirit.
Very much so.
We're in a room of resurrection and revival.
Hello and welcome to GSF Podcast, sponsored by the Gary Sinise Foundation's Education and Outreach Initiative, aiming to educate the public on the importance of serving America's veterans, first responders, and their families.
Welcome to the Gary Sinise Foundation podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Kampsnyder, and today it is my great honor to be here with iconic Olympic gold medalist, figure skating legend, world-renowned broadcaster, and cancer research philanthropist, Scott Hamilton.
Oh boy, that's a lot.
Woo!
Wow.
I know, it's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is.
But hey, but we got more.
Well done.
We got more.
We got
All right.
more.
We got more.
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
Yeah.
All right. For decades, Scott has inspired audiences around the world through his perseverance, optimism, and unmatched career in figure skating. But what makes his story so powerful isn't just what he accomplished in competition. It's the way he has continued to show up for others through service, resilience, and using his platform to make a difference. Welcome, Scott.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Wow.
All right.
It's all down from there.
It's just the beginning. Here we go. For millions of Americans, you represent the joy and excitement. I mean, and this is for me, to the Winter Olympics in figure skating. First as a powerhouse skater and now as a respected Olympic analyst. And you make ice skating look so fluid and effortless. And I think the biggest thing is fun.
Well, it's joy, and that's the root of it. I mean, it's like, why do everybody I talk to, they say, why we need an Olympics right now. And it's because people are able to step away from the world at each other's throats, right?
Yep.
And now look at the world coming together to celebrate youth, excellence, it's celebrating everything we have in common.
Yeah.
And not the things that drive us apart. So there's a lot of that, but it just is, the Olympics is I think it's an extremely important movement. It's the only movement I know that, it says lay down your arms for 16 days and people actually do it. There's no government agency that can pull that off. And it's really a great carrot for young people to want to inspire, or, just athletes of any age, that want to aspire. Because you look at, there's so many of the sports that take decades to master. You look at, it's getting younger now because it's cool, but, like curling in the Winter Olympics.
Right.
It's not like a big strength and endurance sport. it's more of a really specific game, but it still takes excellence and athleticism. But you don't have to be 20 years old to pull it off.
True.
Where a lot of, the other, like skiing, there's people that have extended their careers, into their 30s, but it's just it's so ballistic and it's so hard to make it happen. But again, it's fun to just meet people from other cultures, other political systems, other sensitivities, and just know that this world, as much as it's gotten smaller and smaller through technology, is still a very large place that is inaccessible for too many people.
Yeah.
But we feel like through the technology that we have to know everything that's going on
everywhere. All at once.
All at once, yeah.
Yeah. What got you into figure skating?
It was an accident.
Aren't the best stories always that way?
Well, I always go, it's like I heard Jim Gash, who's the president of Pepperdine University, we were going to church there for a while, and he was giving a sermon, his first one he's ever given, and he's just, I don't know why the preaching minister asked me to do this, but it's not like I'm uncomfortable talking to large groups, but I remember, it's like one of the sermons I remember, because he talked about, his relationship after he lost his wife with his young daughter and how they did everything. But he said something toward the middle that was like getting struck by lightning. He said, there's no such thing as a coincidence. Everything is a God-scheduled opportunity. And it just like, all the synapses fired and everything connected. It was like, I could just see it all. It's like a story in one like arc, and it was all connected instead of being this really weird roller coaster or something. Right. And starting skating was, lived in a very small town, a university town. My dad was a tenured PhD professor of biology, and only job he ever had. He got hired by Bowling Green to be a earth science expert and a biology PhD, and he came in and no one was taking his class for the grade. No one. They're going to learn something and they're going to fall in love with biology. So he did that. And but they built a skating rink because there was a guy named Dr. Sam Cooper, who was a swimming Olympian back in the day, and he just thought that one thing that the university needed was to have skating classes and a hockey team. So they built this beautiful rink. It had a major big surface with about 2,500 seats, and then it had a curling rink, and my dad was on the curling club and everything. And then they had a small tiny little studio rink that was sort of nondescript, but it was mainly for just teaching learn to skate, doing compulsory figures, things like that. So I was 4 years in hospitals, kind of in and out, because I was very sick as a young child, and they couldn't really diagnose it. I stopped growing, I stopped developing, I stopped, everything just, they couldn't figure out what was wrong. Look, this is the early mid 60s. Oh. So, there was no technology.
Right.
It was like best guess.
Right.
And so
for 4 years.
4 years. First year was Bowling Green, Wood County Memorial Hospital. They couldn't figure it out. I went to a bigger hospital in Toledo, Children's Hospital. Couldn't figure it out. Went to a University of Michigan, the Ann Arbor Children's Hospital. They couldn't figure it out. And then we decided we'd just go to the biggest and the best. And that was Boston Children's. And I had every symptom of a disease called Shwachman-Diamond syndrome. It's a celiac disease that prevents growth. And so Dr. Shwachman, first celebrity I ever met, was a guy that had a disease named after him.
Oh, man.
Right. He put me through every test he could think of, and I was like in and out of there quite a bit, over a year. And at the end of that season, he just sat my parents down and he said, I thought he had Shwachman-Diamond syndrome. He doesn't. He has every symptom, but he doesn't have the disease. So here's my advice, medical or personal. Go home, live a normal life, see what happens, and see if he grows out of this thing or whatever. Because if we can't treat something, we can't diagnose.
Right.
So I went home, and by then our neighbor was also our family physician. And he came by the house, and he just basically said, okay, I'm going to do a little intervention right here. My parents' names were Ernie and Dorothy. And he goes, Ernie, you are exhausted. You're shattered. They just adopted another boy. a few years ago, I guess, just in case. No, I'm just joking. No. But my mom was a nurturer by nature. She was a school teacher, and she was teaching second grade at a tiny little, like they didn't have a traffic light in the city where she was teaching second grade. So she, she just loved, like, my whole family is all in academia and school teaching. So, he said, how are we going to take, like, you need a morning off? And they're like, how are we going to do that? And he said, well, I wouldn't come here unless I had a plan. Both my daughters are in a brand new skating program that every Saturday morning they open up the rink to children locally to teach them how to figure skate or to skate whatever they want to skate. So it's 100 plus kids, and it's supervised, and it's safe, and it's great. And that might be a great thing for him to do, to get out and get, around a lot of well kids and get socialized and test himself, and just, it's safe and everything's great. So my parents said, okay. So I went to the rink, and within a few weeks, I could skate as well kids. And then in a few more weeks, I realized I could skate as well as the best athletes in my grade. And then it was,
Dang, I just got chills.
So that's what self-esteem looks like. Because I had none. I was always the shortest, the weakest, the sickest, I was always the last one, kind of chosen. But, at that age, you want to play King of the Mountain, the girls are going to win because they're just, more developed than the guys. But anyway, it was just, but it was one of those things where I found something that made me feel good, and that something that I can do, as well as, a lot of the kids in my grade that, I just admired. And so I became a rink rat. And I started, all of a sudden I started to grow. I started to, digest food properly. I started just the activity of it. I had a lung condition, and the cool, damp air in the rink really helped that. So it was kind of miraculous.
Meant to be. Miraculous.
Meant to be. Oh. Yeah. So, there's a million things. We could talk for 2 hours just about what we found out from that childhood illness later on in life, but it's crazy because it was an unknown entity back then.
Yeah. I was going to ask, like, did you get some answers at least?
Yes.
Do you feel like you've at least, like, maybe
so
ended some chapters?
I have this unique hobby of collecting life-threatening illness.
Oh my gosh, no, we don't want that.
No, my wife says, I don't. I no longer have.
Okay, good. We've let this go.
Yeah, we let this go. But anyways, and so I went through cancer in '97, and I got through, chemotherapy and a major surgery, and got back on the ice right away. And then 7 years later, now I'm married. I've got a child, and life's different, right? And I'm symptomatic again. And it's like, oh, come on. And so I went in. I thought maybe it was a long-term effect from the chemo, and that's what they thought originally. I said, but I have no peripheral vision. And they go, well, let's get you in for a head scan. I said, oh, great. Good luck finding anything in there. It's kind of like, it's vacuous. So anyway, they did, MRI scan of my brain, and on the way out, the attending physician there said, there's something in there. I'm sure your doctor will be. And I said, there's something in there? Really? You'd be the first one to say there's something in there.
Your humor in the midst
that's
of everybody's worst nightmare.
Well, no, it just goes back to cancer. And nobody was allowed in my presence unless they made me laugh. Because I just didn't want to remember it for any other thing than when I look back on those days, I want to remember the laughter. I don't want to remember anything else. So stepping into this, it was like, oh, okay, here we go. So I went back to my doctor's appointment, who treated me for cancer, and he said, you have a brain tumor. And it was like, really? Because I think I should get a pass because I just did all the cancer stuff.
Yeah.
I just get to...
We've ended this chapter. We're moving on.
I did my thing. Now I get to go, wrinkle-free. And he said, we got to figure this thing out. And so my other oncologist doc, he looked at me and goes, you're not going anywhere. And I was like, okay. So that night, or that afternoon, I went back to the hotel because that was the weekend I was doing my big cancer fundraiser in Cleveland. And my wife and son were arriving with her parents. And I pulled into, the walkway outside the hotel as they were coming from the airport. And she said, how'd your physician's appointment go? And I go, well, I'll tell you upstairs. So we went upstairs, and my little son, he was like 14 months old. He's like banging the phone on the cradle, because that's what kids do. They want to play with stuff, and just let him do his thing. And she said, what's going on? I said, I have a brain tumor.
Oh my goodness.
And so she, without even 1 second's hesitation, she just grabbed both my hands and started to pray. And I've had a lot of big moments in my life, but that was probably the biggest.
That is the biggest.
And so for the next week, our mantra was, it is what it is, whatever it takes. And we had access to the foremost authority on, these brain tumors, and they just happened to have a brain tumor symposium at the Cleveland Clinic at the time that I was there. And so they had to go in and take a biopsy needle through my brain, and they go, we found a safe corridor. And I go, honestly, really, I'm not using most of it. So
oh my gosh, no.
And then they said, well, you could have a stroke, you could have loss of speech, loss of memory, you could have motor function issues, or maybe you lose feeling in your legs, but we can't treat this until we know what it is. And so they went in and they took a piece of it, and I remember waking up, and it was 10:20 in the morning. I knew who I was. I knew where I was. I knew why I was there, and I wiggled my toes and my fingers, and I go, okay, so far so good. Then I went, test. Okay, I can speak. And then the doctor came in smiling, and my wife came in smiling. The surgery went great. Everything's fine. We know what it is. And I go, what is it? They go, it's a craniopharyngioma. Like, I'm supposed to know what a craniopharyngioma is. And I go, what's a craniopharyngioma? They go, well, here's some information on it. We're going to go back and we're going to start coming up with treatment options so we can run those by you. But this is good news. I said, all right. So my wife's reading this piece of paper, right? And this gets back to Jim Gash at Pepperdine University. There are no such thing as coincidence, only God's scheduled opportunities, right? And she goes, listen to this. Craniopharyngiomas are usually detected early in a child's life due to a lack of growth and development.
What?
I was born with it.
How did you feel?
Shocked. Because it was like, for all those years that I skated, it didn't do its mischief. But then when I became a father, I didn't want, it wasn't about me anymore. It was about my son and my family. So I stopped skating. And when I stopped skating, I guess I gave this thing permission to kind of start doing its business again. So, so it was really wild. So they did gamma knife radiation, which is, they don't do it this way anymore, but then they did, it was like 201 points of radiation. They put like a halo. Have you ever seen those people that wear halos?
Yeah.
When they screw a halo.
Yeah, they put them all around.
Yeah, they put the halo on so you can't really move much, and then they put, when they figure out the treatment plan, they put a helmet on the halo, and then they slide you into this radiation machine where they do like a brrr, and then they turn you. But every time they turn me, it would jerk, and it would they would just, and I'm like, I'm kidding over here. But it was, so they treat it with gamma knife, and I lost, some metabolic function, so I have to replace and all that stuff. But that's fine, whatever it takes, right? Yeah. And then 6 years later, it came back, and this time it presented itself for surgery better. But just the way everything was, it was, my physiology is different than most people. So the guy that invented the surgery and had done more than anybody else in the world, on the way in, they nicked an artery and it became an aneurysm. So one kind of brain surgery became 9. And then I went blind on my right eye for a day, and then they were able to get most of it back. But so that was that one. And then 6 years later, a pattern is emerging here. It came back again.
Oh my gosh.
But this one was different. This one was, they caught it early because it was a scheduled routine MRI. And they go, okay, we can do the, they brought me these specialists, and they said, we can do the surgery again if you want. And all I heard it was the weirdest thing. All I heard was get strong in my brain. And it was like, I've never had anything like that before. Just get strong. I was like, okay. And then they were talking to him, and it was like, blah, 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 like a Charlie Brown, like, blah, 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 blah. Like the classroom in Charlie Brown. And then the medical guy came in, a medical oncologist, and he said, we've just found that for your particular tumor, we can shrink it using this. It's like a chemo drug, a targeted therapy. And I said, and I heard, get strong. Like, don't worry about this, just get strong. And they said, well, what do you think? And I go, I think I'm going to go home and get strong. And they said, what does that look like? And I said, I'm just answering like this thing in my brain saying, get strong. And so
I love that.
They said, all right,
but
come
you
back.
Listened.
Come back in 3 months and we'll look at it again. And so I didn't know if I was supposed to get strong physically, or I was supposed to get strong emotionally or intellectually or spiritually. So I did what I did in high school. I just decided to go all the above. And so I just started working on myself and just working. And it was really funny that I was reading the Bible and I got to this point in the New Testament. It says, love the Lord your God with all of your strength, all of your heart, all of your mind, and all of your spirit. And I was like, that's where I got it.
There's your answer.
Right? So get strong. Yeah. So I went back for the MRI and they said, you're going to get good news today. And I go, oh, great. Well, what's going on? And they go, it hasn't grown at all. And so they come back in 3 months because we want to keep an eye on this thing. So I went back in 3 months and I was still doing all my work and doing everything I could. And they said, you're going to get good news today. And I was like, great. It didn't grow. And they go, it shrank 45%.
Holy smokes.
And I'm talking to the surgeon and I said, can you explain this? And he just went, God.
Oh, I love that.
And I was like, okay, well, that's good enough for me. And I was so humbled that it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like that voice in my head, and so,
that.
from 2004 to 2010 to 2016, there was a diagnosis. So I had it MRI scanned again a few months ago, and it looks better than it did 10 years ago.
Wow. We're going to want that for the rest of the future. We're going to just notate that.
Yeah.
Send
just
that message
strong.
up. That's
just
it. Get strong and just maintain that.
But it's important. It's not just, try to get strong. It's, it's
I love that you thought of every angle.
But that's it, and
it's whole body.
Holistic.
Yes.
And in that, my wife is, she's very knowledgeable about, vitamins and nutrition and body care and everything. So we
women are good at supplements.
She's just good at nurturing.
Good.
And she's gotten me through so much stuff. I'd probably be dead if I weren't married to her.
Meant to be.
I tell her that all the time, but I think I love you dearly, and you're my partner for life, and the mother of my children, and I love you. But I'd be dead if it weren't for you. So she goes, maybe not, but
but maybe
so.
But maybe so.
Yeah.
Do you think that it was something that pressured you or motivated you or pushed you on your ice skating journey? You
know what it did? Like before I got sick, or before they realized I was sick, I was born with this thing. I love being the center of attention. I had an older sister, right, who was born to my parents, and then they had a couple really bad pregnancies that, children die at birth type of thing. And then they decided to go adopt. So I was their first adopted child. And so my mom was just, I was her first son, and she was like, always like playing, and she was the center of my universe. I love this woman so much. So I would grow up just entertaining. Like I would learn that I could get a laugh if I would do like an imitation of Crazy Guggenheim from the Jackie Gleason show back in the day, and all these really wild, things that I would do just to show off and just make people laugh. And then when I went into the hospital, my mom, back then the children's hospitals are much different now than they were back then. Like now they have like day beds in there, and they have, entertainment opportunities. But when I was going through my stuff, there was a bed and a chair in the corner of the room. That was it. That was all that was in the room. And so she would sleep in that chair, and she would be with me as often as she could. And then she had to, teach her classes and everything. So there'd be other times where other people would come in, but she would sleep in that chair. And so, like, I remember, just her dedication and all of those things. And but when she wasn't there, I learned how to be sort of on my own. And when you're announced at a figure skating competition and they close the door behind you, you're on your own.
That's it.
So it was kind of in its own way an odd training space for me to kind of like say, okay, here we go. I'm on my own and I got to make this thing happen. So some were better than others.
Some were excellent.
Some were really stinkers, but I mean, it's like Vern Lundquist, all those years we worked together in the Olympics, they would announce a skater and before their music would start, he'd say, alone on the ice. And it's like, ooh, that's very dramatic, but it's so true. So you're alone on the ice. You got to make it work. You got to figure it out. You've trained your whole life for this.
Yeah. I was going to ask too, like, what was your journey like? I mean, well, it sounds like had a very difficult start.
Well,
but to get to gold, like, I mean, you had to.
I love being the center of attention. Again, going back to when I was really little.
Yeah.
So getting on the ice.
Kind of natural.
No, I realized it's like, wait, there's no one else on the ice but me. They have to look at me.
This is the best.
And then my mom and my aunt took me on the train into Boston, during that, the end of the journey of my medical stuff, back then before I was sent home.
Yeah.
And we went to see the Ice Capades at the old Boston Garden. And the only thing I remember was a guy named Freddie Trenkler, who was the ice show comedian. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I want to be an ice show comedian. That would be the best gig ever. And so when I went to the rink, I would just like follow all the guys around that were doing ice show comedy, and I wanted to learn from them, and I wanted to do all these things. And I was thinking, if I could ever someday be an ice show comedian, my life would be perfect. And so I just, like, they let me do the comedy act, in the yearly ice show. Yeah. And I just thought that was really fun. But it also was sort of a training ground of saying, just building that sort of timing with an audience, understanding what works, what doesn't, that type of thing. But then getting into my competitive career, I was still joking around too much. And so most of my early finishes were less than optimal. Like my first nationals, what's the word? I just can never. I was a novice boy, and they put the novice boys event right before the senior ladies championship, the championship women's event. And it was Janet Lynn's last nationals, and she was at that time probably the most popular woman athlete in the world. And so it was standing room only, and they put our event right before that. And it was like,
pressure?
I never saw so many people my whole life. I mean, I grew up in a town of like less than 15,000, and then I trained in a town of like less than 2,500. So now I'm seeing like more people than I've ever seen in my life all in one place. And like I joke that I rose to the occasion 5 times.
No.
I fell 5 times in a 3-minute program. Like looking back on that, I go, that's its own accomplishment.
Yes.
How do you have time to fall down and get up 5 times in a 3-minute program? And I came in dead last. I think somebody recently sent me that judge's score sheet. And not everybody had me in last place. So I was like, okay.
There's at least something successful, right?
I saw something in it, but I didn't. But when you experience the worst thing that can happen,
that's true. Right.
And then you kind of step into the next, it's like, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. And my mom still likes me. My dad still likes me. I still have my friends. Well, I'll try harder next time.
Aww.
So I went back the next year. And I got, because I won the sectionals the year before, I got a straight pass to the nationals, which is not a good thing. Like I learned from that because I went to nationals. And that was my first major event of the year. It should be the end of a lot of events.
Like the big crescendo, like the peak.
Yeah. And so I came in 9th again, but this time I was out of 10. I beat one guy, but he probably shouldn't have been there. He wasn't very good. And then I realized that, I go up to juniors the next year. And by then I got a reputation of being last place guy, Like when I fell 5 times, I came in last. I was with another little boy who did really well in the junior level. He was on the podium of the junior level. And we're at the championship men's victory party because it was a guy I idolized. His name was Gordy McKellen. And he won his first nationals. And so his parents threw a big party. And we're like 14-year-old knuckleheads, sitting there. And he looks over and he sees this ice chest and he goes, "Hey, go get me a beer." And it's like, "It's right there. Get your own beer." And he said, No. I have something to lose. You don't.
Oh my gosh.
So but it's like, it's like those memories are like so
ingrained.
Well, no, they're important because, I think if we're presented with something like that, we choose to rise above it.
I mean,
and I joke that, that skater I've hired many times to do a lot of my ice shows and we've remained friends. Anyway, but it's the whole dynamic of, I'll try to do better next year. And so I went up to juniors because what's the worst thing that can happen? Last?
I mean, I guess you've experienced last,
Yeah. So I beat 2 guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And my mom said I had to make it to the Nationals because they were in the Bay Area and she's always wanted to go to Fisherman's Wharf and she always wanted to do the cable cars and she always wanted, I go, "So you want a family vacation? You don't care a thing about my skating." And so, we did everything and I beat 2 guys. And I think about what the conversation was in the dressing room. It's like, wait, Hamilton beat you? It's like, dude, that's rough. It's like, what are you going to do? You're not going to skate anymore, right? Oh, gosh. And then it was right after that my mom came home. Like I'd train in Illinois, then I'd go home and I'd finish out the school year at home in Bowling Green, Ohio. And she came home, she goes, everybody in the kitchen, family meeting. It's like, what's a family meeting? We've never had a family meeting before. And so she's really upbeat, and I think, something great. She must have gotten a promotion or, something else. And she goes, "Okay, everybody, I just come from the doctor, and I've been diagnosed with a disease called cancer. And I just wanted to, kind of like let you know what's going on." And she was like happy and upbeat and just joyful. And it was like, you didn't even say the word back then. And I was like, okay. And then she goes, "Oh, and I'm going to have some medicine. I may not feel good every now and then. And I may have some surgery down the road, and we'll cross that bridge. But I'm probably going to need a little help around the house." And so, she was telling, kind of what she needed. And then she looked at me and she goes, "And you, mister," and she was the center of my universe. And I'm looking at her like, what is happening here? And she said, "Your father and I are basically bankrupt. We've put you through all the skating and everything else. And we're going to get you through this as your senior year in high school. We're going to get you through 1 more year of skating. We'll figure out how to do it. And as soon as you're done with this year, you're going to go to university next year because we're both professors there now, and we can afford free. But other than that, we're just going to call it a just have a great year and have fun, make it work." So I went back to Illinois to train.
How did you react? How do you even?
Well, I mean, I wasn't really lighting it up back then.
Yeah.
So I figured, what difference does it make if I skate or not? I'm not a world changer. I'm not like the other guys. They're all winning. They're all, they're on the podium every year. They're all doing, and I wasn't that guy. And so I went back to Illinois where I trained, and my main coach had retired. And a new coach had sort of taken over all of his students, and he was a very strong disciplinarian, and he scared the snot out of me. And so I was like, I'm just going to try to stay out of trouble. Like, I can be good at that. I'm going to figure out what he wants me to do, and I'll just do that. And then he won't yell at me, and he won't make me look bad in front of my friends, and I'll just do what he wants me to do.
Did it work?
So I did what he wanted me to do. And so about 2 weeks before the Nationals, I started landing triple Salchow. Like, I got my first triple, and I was like, bucket list, check. There we go. I got a triple. Well, it's better than not having a triple, and at least I did that before I had to quit. So I go out for the competition, and I was kind of better that year than I'd ever been, obviously. And my mom was, I remember her standing in the corner, and she had a sling because they'd removed her left breast and the inside of her left arm, and she was wearing a wig because the medicine took all of her hair. And she had a big smile on her face. And I go, "What is up with you?" And she goes, everything's great. Just go out and have fun. Just go out and have fun. We'll talk when you're done. So I went out to do the warm-up for the long program, and I was in way better shape than I've ever been, like higher than I've ever been. But I'm the guy that fell 5 times, year one. And But anyway, I go out and my coach grabs me by the back of the pants and pulls me off the ice and says, don't warm up your triple sow cow in the warm-up. And I said, why? And he goes, because we don't really want to know if it's there or not. Just do it in the program if you feel up to it. All right. So I went out and I landed my first jump, which is kind of easy. And then I remember setting up the triple sow thinking, last competition ever, might as well. Got nothing to lose.
Go big.
And normally my view would be of the ceiling, because that's what I did at the Nationals. I would fall down and be looking at the ceiling. But this time I'm standing on one foot looking at a cheering audience. And I was like, I just landed my first triple ever in competition. And I got so excited, I forgot to screw up the rest of my program. And I won junior nationals.
You won?
Yeah, so I guess now we have
With mom standing there?
Mom standing there. And now I guess 8 guys are going to quit. But what was wild is after that victory, which I'd never, sectionally, every now and then I'd win something. Regionally, I was always good.
Yeah, you had a taste.
Nationally, but she was so happy and so proud of me. And I remember she goes, well, just so you know why I've been in such a good mood all week. And I go, yeah, I thought it was the drugs. And she said, no. She goes, on the way here, Nancy Meese, who was a judge in our area, she always advocated for me. She said she wanted me to meet a couple in Chicago who are very wealthy and don't have children and love skating. And they've agreed to sponsor you. They just want to meet you first. And I was like, what do you mean I'm not going to have to quit? And she said, no. And then the only string attached was I had to move to Denver. Like, okay. And take from the coach who that year was coaching a girl, what was her name? Dorothy Hamill, to an Olympic gold medal. So no, I won the lottery. I had a sponsor. It was really.
And you just won,
and I just won, which was unexpected.
God,
I was going to get the sponsorship no matter what, but I won, which was a big, kind of cherry on the sundae.
Yeah.
And so, so I went to take from Carlo Fassi, and
holy smokes!
But here's the thing: I'm going into the championship level as the junior champion. I'm sponsored. I turned 18 and I got my own apartment. It's called the Trifecta.
Yeah, I was like, is that a good concoction?
No.
Is that like success written on it?
No.
No, not so much.
So I made it to nationals that year. I don't know how I made it to nationals that year, but I was all over the map. I was so distracted and I was such a mess. And I went back to my 9th place winning ways.
Oh.
And
you gotta learn.
That would be the last time she saw me skate in competition. Oh, so I was in her room till about 3 a.m. and she wasn't conscious or anything. My brother and I were there. And then I was sleeping on the couch because we had a lot of people there to support us. And my brother-in-law at the time woke me up and he said, your mother is gone.
Oh, no.
And all I could think to say is, I know. Really weird. I don't know why I said that. And so I got up and I just took a walk in our backyard and I just kept walking and walking. Like, how am I going to do this without her? And why was I such a loser and a failure? And she sacrificed. She never bought her own clothes. She never did anything. She gave it all to me mostly and her children. And there was nothing she wouldn't do for us. And it was just like, and I honored her by being a knucklehead, 18-year-old stupid idiot. So on the walk, I said, how am I going to do this without her? And I realized I didn't have to. And so I decided I was going to take her with me to the ice every time I went. And I called Carlo, and he was very, sympathetic. But I said, a different kid's coming back. Fasten your seatbelt. And I came back to Denver, and I drove him so crazy. He sent me to Canada for the summer. Because I was like, come on, I need more. But I would never be late for figures, and I hated figures. I would never, I'd do run-throughs in the summer. And by the time I got back from Canada, I had 3 new triples. And I had programs that were killer. And so next year I was on the podium on the championship level, 11th in the world. And then 2 years later, I'm on the Olympic team. And then starting after Lake Placid, where I thought if I came in 8th, that'd be good. I came in 5th, right?
Yeah.
So 5th, that's like, wow,
Huge.
I won the lottery. But here's the crazy thing about Olympic year. Like I'm 5th in the world.
In the world.
In the world. Wait, no. Robin Cousins, a gold medalist, just turned pro. I'm ranked 4th in the world. Whoa, no. Jan Hoffman, the silver medalist, just went to medical school. I'm ranked 3rd in the world. Wait, no. Charlie Tickner just joined the Ice Capades. All I had to do was wake up and I'm ranked 2nd in the world. What do I have to do? And I had to take a long, hard look in the mirror and say, you need to fall in love with compulsory figures because the guy you need to beat is a genius at them. And so I just put my head down to the work and won nationals that year, won the world championships that year. Well, starting in October of 1980 until March of 84, I never lost.
You never lost.
That's a lot of guys quitting skating because loser boy.
Get out of here.
Last place guy is going to quit.
Okay.
But all of it shows up in every aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Because, it's unique. It's like, I saw a sugar packet one time that had all those funny little sayings on it. And it says, an optimist is someone that tells you to cheer up when everything's going their way. It's like, no, it's like, I get it. It's this.
Yeah.
It's hard. Life throws everything it can at you, but it's all in the response.
Yeah.
And, I noticed early on that if you go after things with, somewhat of a sense of humor, like, again, people would show up at my chemo room and they'd be wearing skinhead wigs, Kurt Browning, actually, the Canadian champion, we would do these funny top 10, like the old top 10 list, David Letterman top 10 list in the locker room. And they're always like chalkboards, strategy boards from the hockey team. So they were in the first show I missed when I got diagnosed, I got the initial diagnosis. It was 50 cities into a 60-city U.S. tour. And so I'm like hurting the whole time. But they all went to Dayton. I went to Cleveland. And the initial diagnosis is you have cancer. And so the cast had to put the show together without me in Dayton. And they had a day off. And they decided to take the bus up through Cleveland on the way to Rochester to spend a little bit of time with me. And so in that time, Kurt Browning, he said, look, I know you're going to have surgery. I was told, and I know you might be losing something significant, a testicle. And he goes, this chalk seems like it would be a really good prosthetic.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what that was it. I mean, they got it right away.
They understand you.
Yeah.
They
so,
got you.
It was all of it, and stepping into that first brain tumor and the second brain tumor and the third brain tumor. It's all in the response.
Yeah.
It's how do we respond to things? And that's what gives it its power and its quality. And that's what allows you to step into the next. And that's what allows for a lot of good things to happen. And even, so many people that I've met that weren't successful in their treatments. And a guy named Greg Murtha, right here from Nashville. I was introduced because he was setting a record for chemotherapy.
Oh, no.
And we met for an hour lunch. We were there for 3 hours.
Oh.
I fell in love with the man. He was a great guy. And I got word that he was at Vanderbilt and he was not going to make it. And so I went to his room and he's on oxygen because he had really bad pneumonia. And he was a man of faith. And I try to learn from everybody. And I'm looking at this man who may be gone this afternoon. That's not an exaggeration. And he pulls off his oxygen mask and he goes, I can't wait. I'm like, for what? He goes, I am going to meet Jesus any minute. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, you're my hero. That's who I want to be. That's exactly who I want to be. So we learn and we grow and we get inspired. And, sometimes we get let down. But generally, if we pay attention, the human spirit, we're in a room that celebrates that human spirit.
Very much so.
We're in a room of resurrection and revival. We're in a room that, it's just created beauty and hope
Yeah.
and legacy.
Oh, yeah.
And so if we live our lives well, no matter how long, that's a life well lived.
How did you meet Gary?
We have an existing event called Cars for Cares, and we do it at a car collection because it's fun. It's a nice draw for people to come. And so we had the band, we had the whole thing, and it was really fun, and we raised a boatload of money, which was amazing. Because chordoma is not really one that people know about.
No, it's very rare.
It's very rare, but to be able to put a big spotlight on it and to be able to kind of partner with the Chordoma Foundation to kind of, give them an infusion of cash to be able to fund research. That's kind of like what CARES does is we're in the A in CARES. CARES is an acronym, right? It's the Cancer Alliance for Research, Education, and Survivorship.
I love it.
So the alliance part
No wonder
of it
you and
is
Gary.
huge.
Yep, because he's the one trying to push for finding the cure for chordoma, and you guys are just doing it for
I'd love to do
everyone.
more and more and more and more and more. But
Yeah.
we just that was the first time we met, and I'm so comfortable with Gary. And normally around major international superstars, I get a little bit quiet.
Stop.
No.
I don't believe
But
it.
I feel like I've known Gary my whole life. What he's done to honor Mac's memory and his love for Mac and to keep him alive in his heart is stuff of legends.
What did you do to honor your mom?
I won the Olympics.
That's exactly what you did. You
She
won
would- I was
the
so bad at
freaking
figures.
Olympics.
Yeah,
we all need to just take a moment.
No, we did. Let's go
We
back,
need to
right?
reel that back.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but it was like I was so bad at figures. Like I hated them because they were boring, and so.
And then look at you.
No, but I would fail every test like 3 or 4 times, right? Oh
my gosh.
It was bad. And every time I'd pass, she'd walk me through the neighborhood saying that I passed with flying colors. And that, she goes, someday I think we're all going to the Olympics. And I look at her.
She said that?
Yeah, and I go, based on what? It was like that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not that guy. I'm this guy.
Yeah.
And so when I'm standing on the Olympic podium,
1984, you're standing there. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking about my mom.
Yeah.
And why couldn't she be here? But she was there because she made it happen.
She did.
She did.
Yeah.
And then my dad was there. And
Did you feel the pressure at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I hadn't lost competition in 4 years, so it's kind of like
you're
if I were going to lose, that would be a bad one to lose.
Let's just keep this going.
Yeah,
this
the
good
streak is kind of like one more. But it was hard in a way, but the only reason I won the Olympic gold medal was because I won the compulsory figures. And it gave me such a huge lead, no one could catch me. And I hadn't lost a free skating performance in 3 years.
Yeah.
And I did a practice, and my biggest competitor, Brian Orser, was in the audience watching. Like I'd never watched my competitors. I never had the guts to watch my competitors. I just wanted to do my thing.
Yeah.
And we were good friends. We toured together a lot, and he was just a great guy. And so he's in the stands, I go, watch this. And I did a clean run through my long program. And at the end, there's a little bit of a crowd, so you bow. And I bow, and I look up at him, and he was like, is that all you got?
Is that all you've got?
And I looked at him and I go, he's going to win the long program. I got to get a lead. I've got to get a lead.
Oh, man.
And sure enough, he threw down a clinic in the long program and beat me. I was second in the long, but I needed to be fifth in order to lose the gold medal. But it was funny because, and it's kind of like ties it all together. So CARES funds research.
Yep.
And about, 5 years ago, we found a study. My mom had metastatic melanoma breast cancer, and it spread. There was nothing they could do. I mean, there was nothing. So we found an immunotherapy study for metastatic melanoma, breast cancer. And so we funded it with Mass General System in Boston, where I was.
Through Scott Cares, you got to fund it.
But that's where I went. That's where I was at Boston Children's, which is part of the Mass General. All of it kind of comes together, right? So we funded this thing, and so we're doing a Skate to Eliminate Cancer event in New York. on the 40th anniversary of my Olympic gold medal. I won when I was 2. But we're doing this 40th anniversary. And so I thought, this would be fun. So the silver medalist, Brian Orser, was in China, and he was stopping in Zurich to get an award. I go, can you make it to New York for the 40th and we could spend it together? I'm not going to ask Joe, because I wanted all 3 of us to be there. And I figured if we're not all 3 there, it'd be kind of weird, for 2 of us, not all 3 of us. I go, I'll ask Joe if you can be there. Because Joe Sabovchik was 3rd from Czech Republic.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I think I can make it. And I go, let's do it. Let's celebrate together. So we celebrated together. It was, there was 16 or 17 Olympians at the event that night. It was really a fun event.
Wow.
We raised a lot of money for cancer research. And then the end, I had some talking points. And in my talking points were that that study that we did for my mom for metastatic melanoma at Mass General was going into clinical trial. 47 years of fundraising and advocacy and activism around the cancer space. And there's now hope that maybe there would be an immune response to her cancer that may prevent another 18-year-old boy from losing his mom. So, we always, my wife and I are very, dedicated to our faith. Mm-hmm. And we always say nothing is wasted, ever. So we just keep moving forward. Mm-hmm. And as long as I have breath in my lungs, obviously I'll wear you out. I'll just keep yakking.
How beautiful, though, that you got to experience that surrounded by all these people that have, that you skated with and inspired in these big moments in your life. And to be able to announce that about something that was so tied, like full circle with your mom, your mom who pushed you, who was like this, fire behind you and to getting to gold.
Oh, it was fun. And then, it's like Brian and Joe and I just laughed for 2 days. We just laughed we hadn't seen each other together in 20 years. So it was really fun to be together. And Nathan Chen was part of, he was the new Olympic champion. So he was part of the event.
And it was all there to help fundraise for this.
It's called SKATE, SK8, to eliminate ELIM8 cancer. And we've done these all over the country. And it's really remarkable that we're able to set sort of a platform for young skaters to go out and fundraise.
I love it.
And to create a better future. Mm-hmm. And you don't know where it's coming from, right? So when we have like young kids that want to honor their a parent that maybe has passed from cancer, or a grandparent, or if they've got a friend that's going through it, it's really beautiful to see them now understand that there's an action that they can take.
They can do something tangible.
I can do something.
Too.
I can't sit here helpless. I can actually do something.
Yeah.
And I've always felt, and this came out of, a lot of the work that I initially did with CARES in Cleveland, as it was an initiative. Now it's a dedicated foundation, but there it was an initiative. And it was there that I see these people, and they're all coming together because they wanted to create hope. Oh. And they wanted to create a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I just said, I want to encourage everybody here, and just everybody that's watching this. It's like the greatest gifts given are to those who will never know the origin of that gift. Oh. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm standing on the podium in Sarajevo, nobody knows my mom made it happen. Right? Right. So
they're thinking you just did it. You just worked real hard and you did it. And there's so much depth
there. There's so much more to any story of anyone. And so it's like I just said, we don't have to, we'll just keep pushing the science. We're just going to keep pushing the science. We're going to keep asking questions. We're going to keep going after the promise that this is a solvable problem.
Yeah.
And I heard the CEO and the head researcher at Moffitt Cancer Center in Florida. It's a great cancer center. For a long time, it was the cancer center that nobody knew about, but they were in the top 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he said, his name is Patrick Hu, and he just said, I stand here today, and I'm on their board of advisors, which is really fun. I stand here today to say that I believe in my lifetime, and he's only a little bit younger than me, no one will die of cancer. and it's just like, wait, did I just hear wind just fill my sails? It's like, yes.
And he believes it.
Let's go. Let's get to work. So it's that. It's like the promise of, and so much hope can come out of pain. And I always would tell my doctors, I go, no matter what you tell me today, I'm going to receive it joyfully.
What advice would you give to someone who's going through something like that's struggling?
Just every day is a gift. I have in my desk, I have it's about that big. It's an hourglass. And I just look at that and I just say, Lord, give me more sand.
Oh.
I just want more sand. Because we're very susceptible. We're very resilient. We're ultimately temporary. So there's nobody gets out of this thing alive.
Nobody
right?
does. That is the actual truth.
But we want sand.
Yeah.
Just give me more sand. Because I just want more. So how do I get more sand? Just give me more sand. And that's kind of we're in the business, we're in the sand business. We just want to give people more time and more of a, not a life that's filled with collateral damage, but a life that is filled with, like I was given my health back.
Yeah.
Like I went to tour the next year after going through almost 4 months of chemotherapy and a 38 staple surgery.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't wait to get back on the road.
What was it? Do you think it was the community?
I guess the tail was wagging the dog in a really big way, where I was living this life after the Olympics and I was touring and I was building an audience. And
your audience was
it was fun.
Global.
And I still feel it
global.
to this day.
You are known like
well, thank you.
everywhere.
But it was really fun. And I just wanted to, but it got to a point where I started getting tired.
Oh.
And I realized now it was the cancer that was just sucking the life out of me, basically. But as soon as it was diagnosed, it was like, I said, I don't want cancer down there because I have an 80% female audience and I don't want to have to talk about the boys to a female audience.
Listen, as long as you do a backflip, we good.
Yeah, right? So I go, and they go, no. And this is what they said. This is exactly what they said.
Easy.
They said, no, this is a good one. If you had to choose a cancer, this is a good one.
This is a good one?
Like, who chooses cancer?
No one.
No one, right? So I go, all right. And they go, you got an 80 to 90% chance of survival. 50 years ago, it was 5% chance.
Holy smokes.
So now I really want to get research more. I want to do more. I want more. Yeah. And so, I was given, I'm going to live this. I'm going to get to live my life. And it's like, that's not fair. Because my mom died at 49 years old. That's not fair. That's not fair. And so none of it's fair, right? So, but I go back to the hourglass, right? I got that hourglass at an event in New Jersey where I was asked to speak. And it was a guy, his brother died of cancer, and it was incurable. And so they do this event every year. It's called Buying Time. It's a great event, by the way.
I love that name, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what we're doing, right? And so as a gesture they give you this beautiful hourglass. And he said his brother, when he found out he had cancer, he said, we can't cure you. And he goes, can you slow it down? And they go, I think so. He goes, but we could probably only slow it down for 1.5 years. And so the story as I remember it was for the next 5 years, he lived the life he never would have had it not been for that cancer diagnosis. So I look at that and I go, and he was grateful. Because he never would have done the things that he did with his family. He never would have done the things that were like death-defying and interesting, and he would have just put it off to a day where it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
And we're all guilty of that. We just get in the rat wheel, and we're like, no, I'll do it someday. And you put it off until something says, oh, by the way, and you're like, ooh.
A reminder of our mortality.
Right.
Yeah.
So I look at that and I go, wouldn't it be great to live like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is Fourth Angel?
Fourth Angel is the first thing we did as a CARES Foundation, or as a CARES initiative. On the night we announced it, the Hard Rock Cafe in Cleveland, right? Rock and roll. I'm sitting there next to my urologist who did the 38 staple surgery, and we're making this announcement that we're going to create the Cancer Alliance for Research, Education, Survivorship.
I love it.
And I go, what do you think of Fourth Angel? And he goes, sounds interesting. What is it? And I go, when I was diagnosed, I had 3 angels. And they go, yeah, who are they? I go, it's my oncologist, my oncology nurses, and you can feel free to flip those if you want, because oncology nurses rock. And then you have your friends and family. Mm-hmm. That's your group, right? What's missing is the 4th angel. And that's somebody that's been there, done that. Mm-hmm. That's a survivor who can come along and just sort of give you wisdom, hacks. Here's a hack. If you're feeling this, do that, right? I asked my doctor, how sick am I going to get with chemo? And he said, moderate to severe. You ask a survivor and they're going to say, yeah, I get nauseous, but here's what I did. Like they have action items, things that you can actually do. What do you do when you get scared? I couldn't ask my oncologist, my nurses, or my family about that.
Right.
What do you do when you get scared? Well, I had a little sacred space where I'd go and I'd light a candle and I'd read, or I'd just find a way to take a nap, away from the family where I could just sort of cry if I wanted to, or if I could just get it out, right? And so
like the
4th
space.
angel now has been expanded. In the beginning, it was not met with a lot of enthusiasm, but once I think doctors and nurses realized, and families, what a gift it was to have just that wisdom of a survivor to be able to come along and say, you can be where I am, but here you've got to do this, right?
It takes like the fear a little bit away.
It does.
Yeah.
But we expanded it to caregivers and pediatric caregivers, because they're isolated and alone in all of this. Nobody knows what they're feeling except somebody that's been there, done that.
Yeah.
So I was I travel a lot, and I always fly Southwest. So I meet people, right?
Yep.
You meet a lot of people. And I saw this woman, and she looked at me and she went like that. And then I could tell that she recognized me, and I was like, she doesn't know, she can just come up and say hi, right? So I get on the plane, and I always sit same seat. Now it's different, but I'd always pick 8D. That was my seat.
Okay, so everybody listening.
Yeah, right.
Go to like
if you're on a Southwest, if you're on a Southwest plane, my rear end has been at 8D at least once, right? So she gets on, I see her coming, and she goes, can I sit next to the window? And I go, of course. So I let her sit there. And, we're flying between Cleveland and Nashville. And, they make the announcement. She's very quiet, looking out the window and just being very quiet. And they make the announcement, we're taking our final descent into Nashville. And she goes, okay, I have to tell you this, I'm 4th angel. It's like, why didn't you tell me that when we took off?
I love
I would have spent the whole flight talking to you about your experiences. And she goes, but I'm a caregiver. And I go, that is beautiful.
Even better.
And I go, tell me about that. And she goes, well, my husband had a really rare brain cancer. And I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to be. I didn't know what. So they paired me with this gentleman whose wife had the exact same brain cancer as my husband. And he would help me, and I would help him. And we just, saw each other through it. And I go, how's your husband doing? And she goes, he's gone. And it's like, oh, that's a shame. And I go, and she said, my mentor's wife passed away too. And I said, I am so sorry. And she said, but I'm coming to Nashville to meet him face to face for the first time.
Oh, and you were sitting on the plane right there next to her?
Yeah. No, they got married.
No, stop.
No, it's just like all these things that just happen because.
I love that.
But it's beautiful.
Heartbreaking, but it's beautiful.
But it's beautiful. They both found strength through their pain.
Through their pain, yeah.
And they came together in a really unique way. So there's a million stories out there that, some will get told, but they pair 100 people a month, and they've been doing this for 26 years.
Wow.
You just think of the lives that have been changed and touched, but it's all because a 4th angel was created.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That
so we
is
did
beautiful.
lots of really cool stuff in the beginning. We did I went on Dr. Google when I was, I knew I had chemo, and all I could find was medical journal papers and like 12-syllable words.
At Dr. Google.
No.
It's got it all.
But also, that was the beginning of the internet, right? So Dr. Google was all about medical journal papers, and I negotiated my high school diploma.
How trustworthy
it's
is
a longer
this?
story. But I go, I'm too dumb to be sick. And I go, there's probably a lot of people like me out there that may not be smart enough to be sick. So we created a website called chemocare.com. And it's everything you need to know about chemotherapy, how it's administered, how the drugs work, in great detail, and how to manage the side effects in 8th grade English and Spanish. And with Google Translate, any language in the world. And it's
like empowering people.
Well, it gives them what they need, right? And the doctors are like, they're using this as a resource now. That here's a chemo drug, And so I was doing a little talk here in Nashville for a bunch of oncology nurses and just talking about cancer. And I said, and then, I was the organ grinder's monkey for 5 years to build a website called chemocare.com. And I saw a nurse look up and I was like, oh. I go, have any of you guys ever used chemocare.com for your patients? Every hand went up. And I couldn't stop crying. It's all done because it's a good idea, but then you start touching people's lives, and they didn't know it was me. They had no idea. I think my picture's even on the webpage. They had no idea, but it was just that. It was like for 5 years, I just went everywhere I could to help raise money for chemocare.com, and it's pretty cool.
You and Gary have very similar paths with just always wanting to do a little bit more. That's Gary, how he always says, is we can always do a little bit more. We can always inspire and impact even more lives. And I'm so grateful to you for continuing to do that.
Look around. Look at all these pictures. Look at this whole place. The lives that Gary has touched.
Yep.
And the lives that Mac has touched.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a family dynamic.
It is.
This is who we are.
Yep.
And he's stepping away from the spotlight, in a way, and the camera.
Yep.
And now he's dedicating his life to serving others.
And you do the same.
So much of that, especially with Mac and how he lived his life and the joy and the light that he always emitted.
Yep.
That drew people to him, and his creativity, and just anytime I see a picture of Mac, he's always smiling.
Always. He's got that sweet little grin. He's right behind you, just smiling every single time.
Yeah. Well, it's just, whoever watches this, if they make it past the first few minutes, whatever.
I love it.
I've done a lot of things in my life, and the one thing that my mom taught me was always, you can take, but always maybe give a little bit more. Because she never bought herself clothes. And there was a lot of skate moms in diamonds and furs, and she was always in a brown pantsuit. And I could tell, But it was that it was like, I want to be a mom, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure my kids have a great life. And so give me an excuse to talk about her, give Gary an excuse to talk about Mac, and we'll just wear you out.
Do it forever.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever stop, ever. You continue to be such an inspiration. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and we're so grateful for all that you're doing to just push these advancing cancer therapies. And I am looking forward to the day when your name is tied to the successes.
Oh, I don't care about that.
But you're just going to keep pushing.
No, it's the greatest gifts given are to those that will never know the origin of that.
Well, then your name won't be there, but I will know in the background, and we will be cheering you on.
And I may be looking down going,
yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And we'll be saluting your mom and Mac from above.
Please do.
So, thank you. And now, as we do with every podcast episode, Mac will close out the show.
You've been listening to GSF Podcast, the official podcast of the Gary Sinise Foundation. If you'd like to find out more about what the foundation is up to, or if you'd like to make a donation, please visit GarySiniseFoundation.org. Make sure to tune in next time for more interviews, and thanks for joining us.